Okay, we are going live right now. Hi guys, welcome to Defi Daily, and today I'm really happy to have here the team of Wonderland 2.0, and we'll have the opportunity to talk with them. So feel free to ask whatever you want into the chat. We will bring your question and I will ask them about anything you are asking. So welcome guys. If you want to say something just to present yourself, I'll leave you a couple of seconds, please.
Thank you so much for having us. Really excited to be here. That's it for now.
Yeah, it's nice to finally be able to just answer questions without having to go through answering them in a Notion and then copying them over to the forum and going through that whole system.
Yeah, we're welcoming everyone's questions and feedback, and we look forward to moving forwards with this.
Thank you all, guys. The reason why I was happy to talk with you about this topic is because I think that Wonderland has been one of the greatest projects in terms of user adoption, because the Frog Nation has become the greatest in terms of numbers and in terms of engagement into the whole DeFi space. But at this point, I feel that there is a lot of confusion. And what I would like to hear from also the team of Wonderland is proposing the Wonderland 2.0 that I don't know if you had the opportunity to check it, but the proposal is pretty interesting. And it is really trying to go beyond the point that we are right now. Just before giving us the word and in order to tell you what they are planning and what they are working on, I would like just to share a couple of thoughts that I have about the whole situation. And when we are talking about Wonderland, I truly think that for at least a moment, we should stop. I know that what happened, it is really bad. I know that many people has lost a lot of money. But at the same time, we have to know that, unfortunately, we don't have the power to change the past. What we can is just to try to stay focused on the future. If you ask personally, I still believe in Danny. I know that what he has done is not something that I would have done. For example, in the moment when he discovered about SIFU with any probability, he thought, okay, guys, what I have to do right now. And this is probably the reason why the first proposal that we have seen, the first vote that we had into the snapshot were about SIFU, because the whole idea was, with any probability, because I didn't talk with him, was, okay, guys, I don't want to judge a person for his past, even if in this case it was criminal. I want to give the possibility to the community to vote for what he has done for the community. And I know that is something that, at least for me, it's not my approach. I would prefer to have to know who is SIFU. But I think that his idea wasn't to just scam people, and it wasn't bad. The whole result is bad, because if Danny is great from the point of view of the vision, on the other side, he has some limit in the moment when we are talking about management. So this is just my idea. I just wanted to share it because I'm seeing many people that are angry, and I'm completely agree with it. But at the same time, yes, guys, we need to stop it and we need to look for the future. And this is also the reason why we have here the team of Wonderland 2.0. And the first question that I have for you guys is about at which stage we are right now and what we can expect into the next couple of weeks.
Okay, yeah, so I can speak on that. So we started with the DAO discussion, first stage in the governance process, and we collected a lot of feedback, integrated also a lot of that feedback, and then we moved to the request for comment stage. That's where we are currently. The post on the forum is still open. We collected a lot of feedback there as well, integrated most of that. And just 1.5 days ago, we applied for a WIP status. So right now, the proposal is pending. Once the forum moderators agree, they can push it through and it goes into WIP. Then after 4 days, it should go up for vote, after which concludes after 7 days.
So the first step right now is to vote for the rage quit. And what is your idea about it?
Our idea about the rage quit is that it is very polarizing, that there are a lot of opinions about it, and that we would like to move past it. So previously we did include the rage quit in the proposal. Then we found out that the opinions are so diverse that we can't really suggest any specific implementation of the rage quit. So what we did is we said, within 2 weeks of accepting Wonderland 2.0, there needs to be a decision on rage quit, whatever that decision may be.
So it's something that is independent from your proposal, because, for example, if you're asking to me, and we were talking also previously about the rage quit, what I would like really to understand is what is the value of the advantage to not just go out, so to just sell our tokens to the Treasury and just wait to see how the Wonderland will evolve, because this is the main question. I don't have anything against the rage quit itself. My main question is, okay, guys, for which reason and what is the advantage to just stay in? Because yes, I like the concept, I like the Wonderland 2.0 proposal, but I'm asking, okay, what is the advantage and the reason why I shouldn't just go out, wait to understand, and after that, just going back? And this is something that I don't know if you have any answer about it.
So I think to us, currently we're trading below backing, right? So that's a negative premium relative to the Treasury. That negative premium is basically the result of a lack of trust in the future of Wonderland. What we expect is that as soon as that trust is restored, that we will trade at backing or with the premium to backing. So what is the advantage of staying in, your question? If Wonderland 2 goes through and restores trust and you want to come back, you'll be buying back in at a higher price.
Okay. And another thing that I was wondering, and maybe you can help under this point, is in the future, what will be your role into the Wonderland community? You have proposed this Wonderland 2.0 proposal, and what will be your role in the moment that this proposal can pass, and what will happen into the next future?
So I think that's completely up to the community. We specifically didn't give ourselves a role inside the proposal, so to say. So we make the proposal, we bring it to vote, then we are done. And at that point, it's up to the community basically to elect the positions that we set in the proposal. But it's definitely not that we would automatically go into the team, for example.
So you are just speaking in order to share what are your thoughts, in order to bring some value, not because you want to have some specific role, at least not right now into the DAO or into the future, or how the Wonderland will evolve. The whole idea is just to try to really, we believe in this project and we want to push it into a certain kind of direction that we believe, and we think that someone has to stand up and speak, and we are trying to do it, if I understood correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and not even maybe the specific direction. What we mainly want to do is provide a solid basis from which to move on. So we speak about, of course, quite some elements in the proposal. Why we do that is because we feel that we need to set a solid basis, and then we can improve or change even on all of those separate areas that are in the proposal, and of course, everything that's outside as well.
Yes. And can you give us just a brief summary of the proposal 2.0? Because I know pretty well it, I have read it, and I also made a couple of videos about it, but maybe someone into the audience is not so familiar with the different steps that you are proposing into the Wonderland 2.0.
Yeah. So we divided the proposal in 3 phases. The first phase is I'd say, kind of tying up loose ends. So we mentioned, which is now irrelevant, by the way, the airdrop. We mentioned the rage quit, which we spoke about before. So things like that. Then of the phase 2, there's 2 main components, which is one, the tokenomics, and the second is governance. So for tokenomics, the main idea behind that is we want revenue sharing, and we want to provide incentives for long-term investing. For the governance, there's a whole host of topics, as you've probably seen. The idea behind them is that one, we want more transparency, more accountability, and better ways for the community to influence what happens. And then we have a phase 3, which is kind of brief, also not that well defined, a lot less specific, which is the growth phase. Once we set that solid basis, basically, then we can look outwards to expand, to do marketing, for example.
So the idea is to have a first phase where we really restructure how Wonderland is working, the DAO, the governance, the yield, and so on. And after that, having a growing phase where the DAO should focusing on investing in order to increase the treasury, increase the adoptions, and so on, if I summarized it correctly.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, very important part in that is that in that first phase you mentioned, we set up the governance so that the community can have a very strong voice in shaping that second phase, in shaping that future.
And in your personal opinion, what should be the relationship between Wonderland, this new version of Wonderland, and the other platform protocols that are composing the Frog Nation, like Popsicle Finance and Abracadabra?
I mean, I think from my perspective, it should be a part of that ecosystem. How exactly it ties in, I think that can largely be up to the community over the long term. But I mean, if the goal of Wonderland is to be kind of a venture capital or investment DAO, then ultimately shouldn't it be investing in products that ultimately will add value to that Frog Nation ecosystem?
So the idea is still be independent, so no more merger or anything like that, but just keep focusing on creating value through different kind of investments that should be, in any case, coherent to the whole identity of the ecosystem. So we have a Popsicle, Abracadabra, and so on.
Yeah, I think that's about correct. I mean, you know, from my perspective, when I originally invested, that was kind of what I was looking at, was this is part of an ecosystem. We're looking at expanding that ecosystem, and how do we keep improving that loop of liquidity? Well, you know, by continuing to invest in building new and better products within that same ecosystem.
Yeah, that's clear. If I can add just a personal opinion, my idea is that I like the idea of a VC. I think that I have been one of the first that was talking about it into November. But my main doubt, my main worry is, will be able Wonderland to literally go beyond this reputational damage that just happened with this all of this story. So for this reason, I'm still maybe quite in favor. I would like to go more in depth about the possibility to merge with, I don't know, Popsicle, Abracadabra, or whatever. Because what is absolutely true is that the main advantage of Wonderland is having this big treasury that can have many different of use cases, and that can bring a ton of value for the project, for the protocol that will use it. And if you ask me, I still don't know what can be the best use case. It's quite evident, as also the professor was sharing, is that we need a better communication, because we can just put out proposals without going in depth with the communication, because not all the people have the time to know in which way having a treasury could be beneficial for Abracadabra, or in which way could be beneficial for Popsicle, or in which way they can also earn. Because at the end of the story, if you are telling me you have to leave your tokens and receive something else in exchange, you should also explain to me, okay, but what is my gain, what I'm earning? Because just telling you should do this with a really general motivation, it is something that is quite weak. So I would like to know more about it. In any case, if you are okay with it, I would like to take a couple of questions from the audience. So I will start from the beginning of the chat. And I want to start with, let's find one. What free-based DAO actually survived the bear market? None. And this is another interesting point. What do you think about, more in general, about DAOs? Do you think that this model is still sustainable, or we should look to something else?
Personally,
I think it depends on how. I think it depends on how you define this kind of DAO product. If you mean the selling point is making a big rebase and a big APR, then I don't know that that model is going to survive. This is part of the reason we've gone to this concept of having a wMEMO and a profit share token, and to say that we don't fix an APR in advance. We set you will get a proportionate share of the profits that are associated with the investments. And I think that is a more sustainable model that has been in place in traditional finance, is pooled investment structures that benefit from economies of scale, that benefit from professional management, that benefit from having access to deals that that the underlying investor may not have may not have access to.
Right. Do you want to add anything else? Otherwise, we can just jump into the next question. It is pretty interesting because it's connected to what you have just said. Because one of the feelings that is the most common into the community, everyone is just trying to understand if they will be able to receive back something, because many people are just in loss right now. And the main worry is, okay, guys, you are telling me that we have a future. But what I want to understand is in which way I will increase the value of my holdings, and if I will ever be able to go in profit again.
Ever is a very long time. We can't change the past. What we can do is we can set up a structure that will give you the best risk-adjusted returns for the underlying investors. And your starting point is your starting point. But if it takes you 3 months, 3 years, 3 decades, if we set this up right, you will have exceeded that. You can't make a guarantee that you will exceed your initial cost structure no matter what you do, but you can at least, we can only promise to do set up a structure that will give the best possible returns.
Yes, just to give you an idea in terms of numbers, the maximum market cap that has been reached by Wonderland, if I'm not wrong, it was around 2 billion, something like that. So it means that it is like 4 or 5 times where we are right now. But what is more interesting is to compare this number with the Treasury. The Treasury right now is something like about 700 million. So the maximum market cap was 3 times higher just the Treasury. So it means that we need a premium price, just starting from the backing per price, that should be 3 times higher. And if you are wondering if it is possible, the idea is yes, it is possible, because we are living into an industry that is growing a lot. Just the crypto space right now is just about 2 trillion and has a lot of space to grow. If you think also about DeFi. DeFi right now has a total value locked around 200 billion. This number can increase by 10 times, 100 times. So imagine how big it can be. And also all the other protocols can grow, and among them also Wonderland can have a role. obviously it's something that it will not happen in just one day. It requires a long path. On the other side, the main problem that we should solve is about reputation, and truly be able to build a more transparent and a more structured governance in the DAO that is truly able to work. And for example, about governance, how do you think that, I read obviously, but I would like to hear also from your own voices about the governance, because I saw that from the starting point to where we are right now, you have changed it a couple of times. So if you want to tell us about the governance and about the different committees that you were thinking about, it could be interesting.
Yeah, certainly we can address that. So to governance, there's quite some elements. I'll just go a bit in order as we outlined them in the proposal as well. One
Please.
very important one, also the first one, is the mandate of the DAO, basically. So currently, we have not a very structured definition of what decisions must go to the DAO and which decisions the team can make. So what we propose is a quite detailed breakdown of proposals that must go by the DAO and things that the team can decide on its own. So mostly the high-level choices: where do we go, how do we invest? Those are for the DAO. Also, which managers do we hire, for example? The low-level choices: who does a manager want in their team? Do we invest today or tomorrow in the specific product? Those are for the team itself. That's the first one. Then under governance, we also have the team itself, which has a little bit different structure. So we suggest 5 core team members, like right now, a strategy officer. And then next to the strategy officer, we also have an operations officer for product development and general operations, marketing and community, specifically for that community engagement, because that will be more important as the DAO starts to function better. If more proposals go through, we need more communication, more transparency in that area. Also in that, what we earlier mentioned, that growth phase, so that last phase, we'll also need more outreach. Then we have the financial officer. That looks a little bit different than a treasurer. I'll get to that in a moment. You already mentioned the committee as well. And then we have the policy officer specifically responsible for the whole governance framework and updating that, keeping that effective. As far as governance procedure, it looks quite similar to how it is now. So it's comprised of the same steps. First, the discussion phase, then we go to request for comments, improvement proposal, and then a vote. We do suggest to make it a little bit more transparent. What are the times that each step takes? Who needs to do what in which step? So that that's clear for everyone. And we avoid the confusion that we're in now, for example. And then in voting power, we changed quite a bit. So what we suggest is to combine 2 voting models. The first is time-weighted voting. So the longer you hold your wMEMO, the more your vote counts, the more voting power you get. Basically, to avoid that someone comes in right before a vote, takes a whole lot of wMEMO and decides the long-term direction of the protocol, while they're only a short-term holder. This is also the idea behind, we'll get to that later, I suppose, with Revolution. Then the second, we call it harpoon voting, and we labeled it ourselves. The idea behind that is basically that instead of going completely linear, so with linear voting, you can buy influence, right? Because the more wMEMO you buy, the more influence. We want to keep that aspect, because the more skin in the game, the more you care about the future of the protocol, but we want to diminish it a little bit. So there have been quite some proposals to go to one vote, one wallet, one vote. It's not really feasible. We do want to move a little bit in that direction, basically to enlarge the conversation. Because what you see, if you have purely the ability to buy influence, then you get a conversation that's dominated by the biggest players. So we want to level the playing field a little bit, but definitely without too much punishing or any anti-whale mechanics. Just slightly leveling the playing field, So what the harpoon voting does is that instead of linear, it bends the curve a little bit. So the further out you get, the more it's bent, and it's still only a quite slight bend. Does that make sense?
To me, perfectly. If anyone from the audience have any doubt about it, just ask us into the chat, and we will go even further. And just to solve a doubt that many persons were asking, even if we have already answered, but just to make it clear, many of them are asking who is the team of Wonderland 2.0, who you are, if you are really able to help people to recover from their wrecked position. And this is just the main point. If you want to just to give them a brief summary, just in a couple of seconds, just to help them to understand who is talking and why.
Okay, so we're all a bunch of investors in Wonderland. I think for most of us, we've been here at least a few months. And the way we met is basically that a few of us submitted proposals on our own. We saw that those proposals, mainly aimed at governance, didn't really get much traction. So we said, maybe we should come together, figure out how we can address all those issues, and really engage the community with the proposal. So that's what we did. We got together and we wrote this whole document with 10 of us initially. Then over time, people approached us, can I help? Why do you make this decision? So we asked them, come in the team chat, discuss with us, and we'll amend the proposal. So basically on our own, we didn't get anywhere. So we teamed up, all from the community, all at least here for a few months, and we made this proposal.
Good. I hope that is clear who is talking. So just to make more transparent, because the whole point is that Wonderland is still right now a DAO, so it is run by the community. The most known person behind Wonderland is still Danny, but Danny stepped back asking to the community, guys, what we should do now. And for this reason, and this is also one of the questions that is coming from the audience, for this reason, we are having different kind of votes. Just remember that in order to be valid, a certain kind of vote, it needs to go through the whole Wonderland governance framework. And this is the general proposal, the request for comment, the request for the improvement. And after that, only the vote will come. And from that moment on, the organization will start working in order to implement the what has been just voted. Into the charts, they were asking about the possibility to earn some. I can't find the precise question, but I read it before, so I will just try to summarize. About the possibility to earn some kind of yield through some kind of farm and to leverage the treasury in this way. If you want to say something about it, how it can be helpful. They are also talking about airdrops, because I think that there is a lot of confusion. Many people are hearing from a lot of voices, different kind of stuff, but at the end of the story, they are not understanding what is the main focus and what, in which way we can use the treasury, because at the end, we are interested also, yes, to build great tools, to create a great community, but also to know that we are investing on something that is producing some kind of value.
So I think the short story is we want to grow the treasury. We want to get the best possible returns on the treasury. And the way to go around doing that, part of it will be investing in early stage projects, but those kind of opportunities, the good opportunities, they come at random times. One could come next week, one could come next month, one could come next year. And we could have a dry spell in between. If there's a bear market, that can be the best time to invest in those kinds of opportunities, because when the bull market comes back, that's exactly when your product is ready to go live. And in the meantime, we sit on hundreds of millions of dollars worth of AVAX and MEMO and other tokens that can be used profitably. And we do intend to use liquid farming strategies for idle funds, and that can add double-digit returns on the treasury over and above. And that would be subject to the governance structure that we put in place. That would be subject to having a delegated authority to people authorized to implement, excuse me, implement those strategies. And that will also be subject to those people being able to be closely watched so that they are doing exactly what they are meant to be doing. If it says that you can invest in convex, yes, you can invest in convex, but you can invest, in these tokens. Maybe we put restrictions on you can't go for the very weird algorithmic stable that nobody believes it. You have to stick to the more blue chip ones, or maybe you can only put 20% into the more speculative ones. That all of that needs to be subject to a governance process that then people can say, look at the list of conditions and say, yes, all the conditions have been met this week. And that's the kind of thing that will build confidence into this process, the entire protocol, and how we can recover the reputation. We can show every block that everything is clean.
So it's like having different, not really CFO, but different treasury managers, or better, different persons that are allowed to make some kind of investments with, or better, under a certain kind of set of rules. So your goal is to maximize the ROI. You have just to say to follow this kind of rules, for example, not investing in this kind of product, or don't risk too much using some kind of protocols that is not into the industry, is not working for at least since like we can say 1 month, or so on. So the whole idea is having people that are competing against each other in order to produce the maximum amount of value. And the way they are investing could be like yield farming, so moving liquidity, or even make some kind of early stage investment. About this point, because I don't have it so clear. So who will decide? Because one story is just deciding on which pool to invest or which yield farming strategy to apply. On the other side, a different story is to decide if we should invest in another bet swap or something like that. Who will be in charge of this kind of decision? Because also all the airdrops that will come will be related to this kind of strategy.
So there's no single answer to your question. Let's begin at the high level strategy. So that's for the DAO. The DAO will decide whether we, for example, keep investing in pre-sales, and if so, how much of the treasury can be in total invested into pre-sales. So let's say, as an example, 20% of the treasury can be invested in pre-sales. Then the investment managers, they have all combined 20% of the treasury to pick pre-sales to invest. So at that point, it's their decision to go in bet swap, for example, in another pre-sale.
That's clear.
So delegated. Then also something that comes in there, which we didn't really talk about yet, is the committee, the bond protectors. So especially with pre-sales, there's a risk that some project may approach one of our investment managers. Please invest some part of the treasury into our project, and we'll give you some reward to your personal wallet. So that's something we want to avoid. So especially for those very illiquid investments, we want to have the bond protectors look at those deals before they're signed.
Yeah, it sounds more fair. And another thing that I was thinking is there should be something like a maximum kind of exposure that the DAO can have in terms of pre-sale agreements, because obviously a treasury that is for large part investing into pre-sales stuff, it's much more risky than just investing on a Q or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It also brings the risk that the whole treasury becomes illiquid. If we're completely into pre-sales that only release in 2 years from now, then for 2 years we can't do anything, basically.
Yeah.
And
They
it's
are
important
asking,
to,
please, if you have anything to add, please do.
and I would just add, it's important to keep some reserve capacity for upcoming deals. We can't be in a position, the ideal world, we would have pre-sales coming out of lockup and being able to be liquidated to fund new pre-sales. But until we get that runway fully laid down, we need to keep capacity in reserve.
Yeah, that's clear. And they are asking a couple of stuff. So right now, the Treasury is not really invested. So there is not anyone that is managing the Treasury right now.
Sorry, as far as I'm aware, that's correct.
Okay. And they are also asking if there is any partnership still with SushiSwap. For what is my knowledge, the answer is not. I don't know if you know something more about it.
I don't know anything more than you.
Good. Okay. Will this manager be doxed?
This manager, you speak about investment managers, or
I think yes.
Court?
There is not specific. It is not specified, but I suppose yes. It will be about investments.
For the core team, definitely, and we distinguished two types of doxing. So one, it's a free choice for each member. There's the public doxing to the DAO itself, to the community itself. And we also provide for third-party doxing, where you dox to a third party who, upon something happening, can release your personal information.
Great. I hope that it was clear. Another thing that they are asking that is quite something that we should answer, just to make it clear, because many people are wondering where they can get the best price about wMEMO. If you want to answer to this question, even if I know that it's not pretty related to Wonderland 2.0, but all of the guys are wondering, okay, guys, how can I get at the best price this token? What should I do with my own tokens right now?
To buy a token at best price, I would also always recommend to use a swap aggregator. So Paraswap, 1inch, they have several rates as well, but those get you the best rates from all dexes. Whether to buy wMEMO today or not, completely up to you. I would say if you believe in a positive future for Wonderland, there's no better time to buy than now. Because as soon as that future is becoming realized, the price will reflect it and will be more expensive.
Thank you. They are also asking, why is Dani not part of this AMA? So if you can just help people to better understand it, because maybe it's not so clear if they are just joining right now. Anyone? Okay.
I don't think we approached him specifically for this AMA. What I can maybe say is that we, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we did try to get in contact with the current team, so including Dani. We did have some brief contact. We were looking for some kind of cooperation, some input on our proposal as well. We didn't get to that stage, unfortunately. We're still very eager to get in contact with the team. Regarding either input for Wonderland 2.0 or already discussing how exactly can we implement this if the vote would pass, if the vote comes first and then would pass. So that's as much as we can say about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, to me, it's pretty much the same. Right now, it's just a matter to understand what is your profile risk and to act according. Obviously, Wonderland is still a great question mark right now. What will be about the future, and the reason why Dani is not here is because this will not. The goal of this chat is not really stay focused about Dani. It's not Dani centric. It's much more trying to understand what we want as a community from Wonderland. What are your expectations and what are the problems that are right now and how we can face them? Because as Dani has said many times, at this time, after what happened, we really need to keep going on only if there is a strong community that is still believing into this project. So if it is true, that's great, and Danny will support, and we'll have probably a role about vision, strategy, and so on. But the goal is not to make everything just around Danny, but more about the protocol, the community, and all the people that are involved into this project. There is another question that's quite interesting. I think that they should be doxed to the community because Sifu was doxed to Danny and he didn't say anything. Why would it be different now if they dox it to a third party? I think that is a pretty delicate point. If you want to say anything about it.
I think there are some trade-offs about doxing publicly and doxing to a third party. You know, when we say third party, we don't mean some unknown law firm in Panama. We mean something serious, like a major audit firm or one of the big ticket law firms who have a reputation at stake and whose reputation we can put some validation in. One of the disadvantages of, you know, if you have to remember, these are people who would have serious control over a 9-figure in US dollars treasury. If, you know, and I don't think anyone here would reasonably ask somebody if their children are kidnapped to resist and not to follow through on the instructions to send money elsewhere. That is, you know, nobody is going, you know, no one in real life is going to do that. So if you have everybody doxed, who is known to who has enough control and has enough control over the multi-sig, you know whose children to kidnap. And
yeah, you
that
have
creates
something to leverage. Absolutely true.
And if they don't have children, then the wrench attack will work just as well. So you have to. We don't have the technology using Gnosis or any of these other technical points. I know that some of the institutional investors investing in Bitcoin, et cetera, are trying to find solutions for this as well. You don't have a solution that would mirror the kind of controls that you would have if you deposited your money with a bank, where you need to have multiple different people, and some of the people are publicly known, but they only have authority to do this, but not that. They can only send to a specific other account, but not to any account, et cetera, et cetera. There are lots of controls you can put in place if it's offline, but once you get on chain, you have the 5 of the 9 members of the multi-sig, or however you structure it. All the money can go the next block.
Yeah, I hope it is clear. If anything, anyone want to ask something more, feel free to do it. Another thing that they are asking is, will there be a rebrand? So Wonderland will rebrand in somehow, or it's not something on track?
So I think I can probably take that a little bit more. I don't know that it's entirely necessary to go through a rebrand. I think if we do what we're setting out to accomplish in rebuilding trust through governance, through doing what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it, with putting structures in place to reestablish trust, I don't know that it's really necessary. I mean, even if you look at traditional finance, look at the price of Meta right now, they didn't deliver and they're paying for it because investors don't like uncertainty. Now, I think there's benefit to rebranding, but at the end of the day, it's, reskinning the website, there's only so much that rebranding can do. You can change what things look like, but at the end of the day, you have people who are going to dig and find, well, Wonderland is now, Carlbot.money, it's the same same thing. It's, you know, they'll call it whatever they want. So.
Yeah, I think pretty much the same. I don't think that right now is needed a rebrand. I think that is much more important really to build a structure and give trust and, or better, build a trustworthy team that people can trust. And this is the main important stuff that we need right now. They are also asking Wonderland 2.0, did we need to hold through a transformation or rage quit and re-enter? Just to give you a, I will take this question just because we have just answered about it. And I will take it because it's a pretty much important concept. It's just about you. If you want to just approve the rage quit and if you want to just sell and re-enter, it's just up to you. It is still not clear what will be the advantage of staying in. Probably there will be something. If you are just a believer of Wonderland, if you still want to hold and you want to support the project, maybe it's just better to stay in. But there is not a big difference. It's something that we will see, and it is too early to answer. And most of all, there is not a right or wrong question. It's just your opinion that is absolutely respectful, and you can decide about it. Thank you, Vance. Just want to say great question. Thank you, Alberto. Okay, and going on down here, what role does Danny play and what role did Sifu play? I'm seeing that many people are still, and this is something that we should also take it as a feedback, because many people are still talking about what happened in the past. And what I think is that the reason why we are talking about Wonderland 2.0 is literally try to go beyond what happened in the past. Unfortunately, we can't change it. And yes, it was bad. The decision about Sifu was awful, but we need to go beyond it. The role of Danny, I hope that Danny sooner or later will speak about it in order to clarify his position and just to clear up everything that happened about it. But right now, what I want to really invite you is try to focus and understand in which way you can help. If you are older, if you believe into this project, in which way you can help it in order to create the maximum value. Because right now we are in a moment that we really need to change the history of Wonderland, and it's up to us doing it. What would it mean for them to Okay, this is about rebases. It's something that maybe you can answer about. So rebases are still going on, and what will happen to rebase with your proposal?
So rebases are currently still happening. If you've wrapped your memo, they're just happening inside of that wrapper. I think Danny's talked about this. I don't even know how many times. There's the cookie analogy somewhere in the announcements. In terms of whether things would continue to rebase, we would be looking at switching to a revenue share as opposed to rebasing. I think pretty much every team member has basically kind of said rebasing is a meme at this point. You're not really getting a huge benefit out of it. So what makes more sense is in our proposal, we recommend a fixed supply governance token and a revenue share token.
And I think that they are just asking Prof, but I think that the question is more, what is your relationship, or what do you think about the professor proposal and how the professor proposal can really merge with your?
I think the professor's proposal is interesting, and there is some overlap between the Wonderland 2.0 and the professor proposal. I think the key differences are that, as far as, at least speaking for myself, as far as I understand the professor's proposal, it still centralizes a lot of the decision taking and implementation authority in effectively a single person, while we take a principle of scattered authority, which basically means that you don't have as much of a potential of a single point of failure or a potential of a bad actor impacting the protocol. And we think that it's more consistent with having a dispersed trust rather than a concentrated trust in people who are implementing decisions. And this level of controls that we would put into place would mean that any malfeasance would be noticed right away and stopped, and before it becomes a situation. What we want to avoid is the kind of scenario where sorry, I'm very congested today, in case you didn't guess. We want to avoid the kind of scenario where the people are having Twitter flame wars over this transaction on chain, whether it's legit or not.
That's clear. And this is a pretty different question, because they are asking, why are the mods banning people from unfairly in Discord? So the main problem is that in Discord, someone has been banned and it's not clear why. Do you have any insight about it?
I think if this is referring to the Wonderland Discord, one might have to ask the mods there. We don't have, I don't believe anyone on the team has authority over that.
Neither do I. Personally, I truly don't know how it is working. I know if there is some bot that is doing it. In any case, the best way is always to ask again. And I hope that there is no one that is trying to silence. If I have to give my personal opinion, I don't think that anyone is trying to silence anything, because for the simple reason that we have seen so many stuff, negative stuff inside Wonderland, that the main question is, okay, but if they are banning what they don't like, for which reason they are not banning at all everything that is bad? So I truly don't think that there is some, let's say, bad feeling about it. But I don't know. You should ask inside the Discord channel. Going on, some but where. They're asking, but why do we need the treasurer to right now, as opposed to waiting for the right person to come? I really don't get the point. Maybe they are asking for what is happening into this transition moment, because the reality is that the treasury right now is doing nothing. It's just there without any real use case or any real investment. I don't know if you want to add something about it.
Maybe the only thing I want to say, the only thing to add to that is, which we mentioned also in the proposal, that as soon as possible, we want to put the Treasury to work, so to speak. Of course, to really invest in what we talked about before, the pre-sales, or in advanced yield farming, borrowing protocols, etc., we'll need investment managers, and we'll need strategies set by the DAO. Nevertheless, we want to convert at least that part of the Treasury that really isn't doing anything to low risk yield farming positions, because if it's just sitting there, that's just a waste.
Yeah, totally agree. This is
I think the other
please.
The other point is we're talking about weeks, not months or years. We're not, we're not intending for these assets to remain idle for very long. But I would say the amount that you could gain between now and the end of February on the Treasury, compared to not having the right controls in place, it doesn't sound like a good risk reward trade to me.
Thank you. Another thing that they are saying is Wonderland farming as a service is a great pivot. What do you think about transitioning Wonderland to farming as a service? For me, is a no, but I would like to hear from you.
It's something that could potentially be interesting. Then kind of going back to our proposal, also for that, such a big strategy change, I think we definitely should have governance in place so that we can have a good structured discussion on that and then come to a vote and make a decision as a community.
Yeah, just as kind of a thing that I've noticed is that in general, there are a lot of really great ideas about how the Treasury could continue to make more money. Some of them are strategy changes. And I think the difficulty is there are great ideas, but until there's governance in place, we can throw out as many good ideas as possible, but we can't implement them. But that's kind of the purpose of the DAO, is to have the community say, yes, we want to do this, and then we don't. So we need better governance systems in place before we can really take advantage of the great ideas that are coming from the community in that regard.
Yes, that's absolutely something that we should evaluate into the long term. Another thing they are asking is, guys, what would be the rage quit amount would be fair to all sides? Anyone?
I think the only thing we can say to that is that we are glad that we removed it from the proposal so that we don't have to be the ones judging what is fair or what is not fair, because it's almost at this point, I feel like a moral question of what is fair. We of course saw a lot of date proposals to take the snapshot for the rage quit. There were proposals that said take it just whenever the vote goes live. Proposals that said do it before the airdrop was announced, for example, do it before the Sifu news came out, do it before this date, that date. I think for us it would be really difficult to say this is fair for everyone.
Yeah, that's obviously something that it's not on us to decide. So it's something that we should wait to understand. Because the point, if I understood correctly, but feel free to correct me, they are saying that right now there will be a vote to decide if a rage quit is something that it will be allowed or not. So just to create a white list of addresses that will be able to rage quit at a certain point. After that, a full review, a full audit of the Treasury will take place in order to evaluate the right value of the wMEMO. And after that, people will have the opportunity to rage quit. I don't know if I say it correctly. Anyone?
I have to admit that I didn't really keep up with the discussion the last few days about the rage quit. It does sound to me like fair that people have all information before they decide to actually rage quit or not. Personally, I would say, don't we need all the information before we make that decision about rage quit? Where maybe it's also a relevant question. If we vote no to rage quit, what then? So what is that alternative that we're voting against?
Yeah, this is something that I have just read from Danny, if I'm recording correctly. In any case, we will receive all the different news when the time will be. They're asking is there any transparency regarding the ongoing investments? What can we expect to know? And also, I think that the main difference is what you are proposing and what is the situation right now.
So I think in the situation right now, the only way to do that would be to go on chain and investigate yourself. If this proposal goes live, there will be reporting that will make that convenient for you. You will be able to have some reliance that reporting was put together correctly. And in terms of what investments are actually in there. If you mean the specific strategies that would be put in place, then those would be part of the governance for the approving of those farming strategies or other types of strategies. And for the kind of pre-sale type of deals, those would be variable. We all know that a lot of those types of deals, until they are ready to become, the fruit is ready to be picked, so to speak, those types of deals need to have some private discussions. But the objective would always be that you would know what has actually been realized, and that would be no doubt about how it got there.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And they are also adding another question, when that is always about yield and how the system will evolve from a rebate system like right now to something else. And they are asking two main questions. First of all, when would revenue sharing begin? And on the other side, they are also adding how would it be structured and what kind of yield we can expect from this kind of feature.
So I think there's a few things to say about that. One is there will be a difference between the more farming type of strategies, which would have more or less continuous yielding. And the way we structured our proposal is that you would get a profit share based upon your share of the protocol. And you would have a choice between an auto compound versus a payout type of structure. And those will have different. If you take the payout type of structure, there will be a threshold amount that you will set, and it will be paid to you less gas charges every time it crosses it. So if you set it to be $1,000, and every time your share of the profit hits $1,000, whether that's every day or every month or every year, you get your $1,000. If you go for the compounding option, then it's a little bit more complicated because you also have the right to pull on the not compounded portions. But that's that I think we tried to explain as best we could in the proposal. As to the yield that can be before we get to the yield that can be generated, we should talk about the pre-sale type of things. Those will be as they are realized, and usually those involve an extended lockup period. So we may invest. If we invest April 1st into some project, we may not have any capacity to sell it until October 1st. That's part of the deal. That's part of the reason you get a discount. So that's part of the reason these teams are willing to sell it, because they need the money to actually fund the development work until they have a working product. The yields, we can't promise specific numbers. We've all seen, middle of last year, how yields on all the Defi protocols have turned into nothing, and we've seen how they spiked back up towards the end of last year. So, it will be determined by the market opportunities.
Yeah, that's not obviously easy to predict any kind of value at this point, because obviously it's market related. And I think the idea was it will be something like more 5%, 20%, 90%. And the answer is, the goal is obviously to maximize the ROI. But on the other side, and correct me if I'm saying anything wrong, the idea is to give also to the DAO a certain kind of goal, because obviously it's the strategy that you can apply is pretty much different if you are pursuing something like an 100% of APY, or if you are just going for a 25%. According to the goal that you have, also the profile risk of the investments that you are doing is different. So it is something that obviously all the DAOs should say something about. I don't know if I said it correctly, or if you want to add something else.
Yeah, I think that's definitely correct. For the strategy, we definitely look to the DAO to set that strategy. So do we want to go very risky and chase, for example, what you mentioned, that 100% APY? or do we want to have lower risk but sure returns at a lower ROI APY? And I think one important point to mention is that because we have these investment managers who are obviously very capable in their domains, that they'll be able to execute strategies that most of us on our own either wouldn't be able just to pay for the amount of capital that we work with, or wouldn't have the time to upkeep. For example, to maximize your loan to value, you go right to the balance of being liquidated. And so that requires active management to keep maximum loan to value. That's something that an investment manager could do. And for most of us, we don't monitor our investments 24/7. So that's not something we can do, and we want to take wider margins. So those are some of the advantages of pooling this all together, obviously.
That's clear. So guys, if you are okay with that, I will take the last three question, and after that, I will ask you to just to summarize what is the proposal of Wonderland 2.0, just to give all the people that are listening a brief overview on what are the main points about your proposal. So guys that you are listening, if you have any kind of question, that's the moment, because we will take the last three, and after that we will close this AMA. I will start with this one. This is pretty interesting because they are asking how many people are in Wonderland 2.0 and how can we join?
So I believe there are 40 right now. As far as joining, we do have a link somewhere. I'm not sure how people have been joining up to this point, though. Obviously, have they just been messaging you, Larry?
Yeah, most people that joined up until now either messaged me on the forum or on Discord directly. Then I sent the invite link. We don't have an invite link publicly open because we want to prevent bots coming in, etc. So the easiest is to message any of us on, that's either Telegram, Discord, or the forum.
When is Alberto joining the team? I'm open to support. I like, as I said many times to you, I like the idea behind Wonderland, and I love the fact that the community is a really strong community. So, and this is also the reason why I decided to host this kind of AMA, because I truly believe that the Wonderland 2.0, but also the professor proposal are really trying to add value to the whole community. At this point, it's not a matter of being part of the team. We are in the same team because we are all as older of Wonderland, because as I said, you also, I personally keep owning my position in Wonderland, even if, as I said you many times, I have a small allocation compared to my portfolio, because for the simple reason that I always consider this kind of investment a high risk investment, and still remains even right now. And it's just a matter, if you have any kind of idea, share it and do everything it is possible for your own possibility to support, to create value to this project. I think that the most important thing is just talking about it is a rug pull on. It's true that what happened in the past was terrible, but right now we need to look to the future, and we need to solve this kind of situation, because we are just stuck and we are unable to do anything, and this is not good. We need to solve this situation as soon as possible. We need to do something in order to create value for all of the holders that are still owning the token of Wonderland. So guys, if you have any idea, use the Discord channel, talk on Twitter, talk on in the comments of the different videos. Try literally to help people, because not all the people are having the time to go through all the different news that are coming about Wonderland, because a lot of it's happening. For example, I can give you this example by myself. There are days that I was preparing videos about Wonderland, and not even a couple of moments before I was ready to publish, and new news were coming out. So I had to change the video. I can't imagine a person that is just trying to follow its own investment by once a day or once a week. It is literally difficult to stay on track. So try literally to help other people to understand where we are at this point and what we can do in order to create value for the whole community and obviously also for ourselves. Going on, what would you do about all the members of Discord who have been banned from the Wonderland server? I don't know if you have any kind of answer. I personally don't know. If you want to add anything. Otherwise, I will answer by myself.
It's up to the moderators. And if there would be people, as mentioned earlier in one question, I think that are banned because of their opinion, then those, in my opinion, should be unbanned. As you said, there is not really a strong indication that that is the case. So if the people who are banned are rightfully banned, then they should stay banned. And I think there's already the possibility for anyone to open up an appeal on the forum if you believe you're unbanned unjustly.
I was going to say, I don't know if there's currently documentation about the banning process and why certain people may be, but I do think that that's probably something that should be an important add-on at some point. Because there's a difference between, you know, having a disagreement with a mod and them getting mad and, you know, just repeating things that you've been warned not to say.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. If all goes well, when would you expect Wonderland 2.0 to be launched? Obviously, I'm just adding, it's not a matter of launch Wonderland 2.0. It's just to transitioning Wonderland from this stage right now to the future. And now you can ask, you can answer, sorry.
So for the actual vote, right now we have only limited information, but from what we know, it seems as if there will at least be 4 days for the rage quit proposal to be up, 7 days to vote on that, so that's 11 days. After that, it looks as if Wonderland 2 might go to WIP, so then it will be 4 days again up on the forum and 7 days to vote. So then we're 22 days from now. Then the vote concludes. At that point, obviously, we need to implement all the separate parts in Wonderland 2.0. So for all those parts together, we estimate they would take about 3 months, whereas investing the treasury would start the passive investment we talked about. So the positions that don't do anything, that would be almost immediate. Actually installing the treasury, the investment managers would take about 2 to 3 weeks, we estimate.
I think the key thing is also to remember you have to have elections for all of these roles. I was going to just add that, remember, we also then we would solicit people to run for the different officer roles. So, you know, this is a very key part, is that we do not want to just impose a team. We want the team to be selected and supported by the community.
Thank you. Last question, if anyone has anything to ask, that's the moment. And after that, I will give you the possibility to just summarize the proposal and the next steps, and also if anything is required by the people to do. So guys, if you have anything to ask it right now. Otherwise, in the next minute, I will close the live. In the while that we are waiting, if you want to just give a brief summary about Wonderland 2.0, the proposal, and which are the next steps that we can expect from the community and also by you.
So to briefly summarize the proposal, first, as you asked, our main goals is to increase the transparency, increase the influence the community can exert, also make the discussions about the actual future of Wonderland more lively, and also aim them more towards the future, and introduce a strong element of accountability. So basically to secure our investments and secure the protocol and the community as a whole. As far as next steps for the community itself, we are still in request for comment stage right now. So we appreciate all comments to make the proposal better. There are definitely areas that could be more detailed. As a lot of comments pointed out earlier, there were things that weren't completely synchronized in the proposal. There might still be things like that. We hope that we covered them all. But that community input definitely helps us to improve the proposal. So we definitely welcome that still. And beyond that, spread the word and come to vote.
Yeah, I agree. The last question they are asking is, why is price low, treasury fairly high? So they are asking about the price. I think that the point is about the market price and also the price of that we have right now, but why it is so low.
I think it's a question of confidence in people, not necessarily, first of all, trusting the backing or trusting the future. And this is what we want to capture, is to make a structure so that everybody can trust implicitly the backing and the structure that's built.
Yeah, that's substantially a matter of trust. Right now, the trust about on Wonderland is quite low. So this is also the reason why the price is low, and the whole situation of uncertainty is not helping the price. And right now, it's just a matter of what you believe. Just be aware that any decision that dealing with this kind of investment right now, it is a risky investment, because the uncertainty around the project is quite high. It doesn't mean that it's a bad investment. It doesn't mean that it's good. It's just a matter of your personal thoughts or your personal strategy and how you want to deal with it. So guys, thank you all, and thank you to the team of Wonderland 2.0 to be here and try to help the community to better understand what is about this proposal. If you guys have any other kind of question, just write into the comment section below, because this video will be also published into the channel, and feel free to ask whatever you want. You can also participate in the discussion into the Discord channel. You can write to them. I will, if it's okay with you guys, may I add your Telegram contact into the description below?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, perfect. So you will have the opportunity to check the Telegram contacts of the team into the description below. Feel free to write them. You can also write to me if you need anything else. Remember to check the Wonderland forum and also the snapshot in the moment when it will be in place. Guys, it was a pleasure talking with you, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your attention.